Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, forgive me for not being here last month for an open mic that isn't even mine, but I do this in honor of Tom Woodruff, who ran the poetry open mic, community poetry at Half Price Books on the first Wednesday of every month at Half Price Books in Austin, Texas. COVID restrictions are still under effect. Even if places are open, they are not allowing things. Hey, we can't allow people to actually get together. That would just be horrific, wouldn't it? So, as far as I know, it's not going on yet. So, in honor of him and in honor of that open mic, I was going to read like I often would at this bookstore and read poetry for you guys in a bunch of different readings. And of course, it seemed fitting to be around books. And of course, it seemed fitting to have my tennis memorabilia around me and wear my tennis shirt, one of them, because this is the 2-week long period of the last major of the year for tennis. The US Open is going on right now. In fact, I'm looking over and I'm seeing Medvedev playing, I think. But it's far away and I can't see it. So forgive me, because I wouldn't be seeing it at a bookstore anyway. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone has been vaccinated. I just had my booster shot and I am still affected by it and I feel so run down today. And it's days later, but I'm all right, it'll be okay, and I stay away from people and I'm fine and all is good in the universe, and I hope everyone else is doing the same. In the meantime, because I was not able to make it last month for doing this reading because I was visiting Pennsylvania, in fact, I was at Confluence, Pennsylvania for the Poetic License open mic last month on the 1st of August, and then after that I was in Chicago and I was unable to do a reading period while there, at least not around a bunch of books like this. So I will be catching up and doing reading from last month's books as well as this month's books and collection books. Doing a bit of catch up. So this is what I'd always do with Tom when I was one of the readers at his open mic anyway. He might have a theme for the evening or the afternoon for reading, because it was on 1 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon on the first Wednesday of every month. And I'd say, sorry, I'm going to read stuff from current issues. So I hope you don't mind. Book releases from last month as well as this month. And I actually bought bookends, rock heavy tennis balls. There's one behind me over here too. But I'm like, I'm just going to put them here now just because the US Open mic's going on right now. So you get to have that for your treat in the background and amongst my books. I thought I'd share with you a few poems from last month's Down in the Dirt magazine. I run 2 literary magazines at Scars Publications. One is CC&D magazine, founded in 1983. The other one is Down in the Dirt, which used to be a supplement of CC&D in 94, but started out as known in 2000. They've been running as Perfect Bound Books through Amazon since 2015, I believe. And they run with the book titles based on accepted writings in the book. This one is titled 3 Things. 3, count them 3. And yes, for people who are in Texas, this is Queen Anne's lace. We don't have that here. They have other naughty white things. They're not quite the same, but I had a picture of Queen Anne's lace from back in the day, and I had 3 clumps of it, and it seemed appropriate for a title. 3 Things. So, anywho, this, I was going to read a couple pieces from it for you. We will see what I put up with. One person has been sending me stories about periodic table elements, because they saw that I wrote a book of poems for every element in the periodic table. And when he sends something, I try to follow his accepted writing with a poem or 2 of mine, whether it be a poem or that will appear in the book of mine, the periodic table of poetry, or would be an upcoming Twitter-length poem for future book release of very short poems. But this one, I followed up his piece about gallium. Gallium. And this poem is titled Gallium. Isn't that moment of expectation almost the best part? How it melts in your mouth and not in your hands? Or is it the most heart-wrenching part? when you think everything is over, you see that 30 degrees C, everything melts away. And you think you shouldn't be doing this. This can't be happening. But on a hot day, everything is held in peril. Because, as I said, everything can melt away. Yeah, I know how they say it melts in your mouth and not in your hands, but after a lick, it doesn't have much of a taste. It's a bit astringent and has a metallic taste that lasts a few hours. But as I said, it melts in your mouth and not in your hands, but no one can know what it tastes like when it's molten. But still, with a low melting point and a high boiling point, and no toxic vapor, it contrasts as it melts, much like water. It actually floats on its own liquid. You want to see it floating away on itself like that. You want to see what you think the laws of nature are doing, being broken. So you wait for that moment of expectation, to see that moment of change, and wonder if that's almost the best part. I do these poems with this one writer who writes periodic table short stories, and I will follow them up. And sometimes, and Tom would know this all too well, the host of this open mic, if there was a piece of prose that had just a little room at the end, and I wouldn't put in, and not enough room for artwork, and I wouldn't put somebody else's poem because I'd give them their own page. I'd put something short of mine at the end of it, which I've done in the case of this next poem I'm going to share with you. And it is titled Viruses, Entirely Human After All. Viruses contributed to the building blocks during the evolution of the human species. So now our bodies, partially built by viruses, now fight viruses that don't like the viruses we choose to include in our genetic DNA. And humans are made of so many microbes, tiny foreign microorganisms, that over half of us humans aren't even made of human cells. This is what consumes me when I think of the inhumane ways that ones who loved me treated me, like my inadequate boyfriend breaking up with me right before I stood up in a wedding, or another strangling me because I wanted to go out on St. Patrick's Day. Tell me what is fair when I hear catcalls from strangers or feel stares from men as I walk down the street. This is one I must remember. Inhumane behavior may come from viruses within, but don't forget, those inhumane aren't entirely human after all. Oh, the fun stories that you can shove in the middle of pieces. I've got a few more I'd like to share with you, and they are crammed in the end of the book, because I like to, if I'm going to be included, I'm going to put myself in the back of the book. This is a poem titled, Our Society Glossed Over. Our society is now so superficial. We take our selfies from our phones to look our best, or else we get some photo buff to edit our image so that we can look like we do not belong in this world. Soft edges glossed over. We look so surreal, but superficial nonetheless. And that's when it struck me. Now, keep in mind that I really like architecture, but both modern lines and classic architecture. I love the mirrored heights of skyscrapers, but a part of me likes, even in buildings from the past century, buildings containing ornate detailing, like they are some sort of homage to a classic civilization, an endeavor to now be a classic. And this makes me wonder, because I really like classic older architecture, but I also like what's modern, Am I just trying to slap something I thought was once beautiful over something that now could be beautiful if the architect understood what beauty actually was and what they built? I wonder if this architecture I love is often just someone slapping a classic facade over it and thinking this is art. For at this point, it's not cutting edge. It's not cutting edge. It's just what we call today and what we do today, and think that that might actually make a difference. You think about it, and I look and I see people's Facebook pages, and somebody puts a post up and they're like, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and I'm like, I can look at it and see that it's been photo edited, and I know they don't know how to do it, so I know they had to have it professionally done, and I'm like, that's cute. That's cute that you're trying that hard to do stuff, and okay, whatever. That I'll just do my live readings and hope that I'm doing okay at it, I guess. This next, I think I'm going to do maybe 3 more for you in this reading, because I talked too much at the beginning. This first piece is called, I got a moody one for you, Knowing That Instant. What does it feel like, the instant before you die, when that bullet penetrates your skull? What do you feel? Everyone postulates about death, about that line we all balance on. But no one thinks of that instant we can't reflect, that instant we can't share with the world because we're about to cross into what no one knows. This is what consumes me, that moment. What does it feel like? Okay, I've got 2 more for you, and one makes me feel bad that the host Tom Woodruff isn't here, that I'm doing this live, because I believe this was the poet I was referring to in the poem. There's a poem called Do the Dead Still Live? I woke up from a dream last night where a man I once dated who died was still alive in my dream, and another Nan from my past was there too. And when I woke up from this dream in the middle of the night, I thought that I need to remember this, to write it. And then I went back to sleep. I started dreaming again, and when I dreamed again this time, someone asked me why I didn't write my dream down. I answered them with, who wants to hear a dream about a man I once dated who died and he was alive in my dream and was still professing their love to me? I mean, who wants to hear about that? I said, but then I turned around in my dream and my mom was there, still alive. And I said, hi, Mom. And then I woke up. I told a poet friend about those dreams today. And he asked if this happens to me often. If the dead come to me, they come back to me in dreams like this. I told them, no. And that is when my poet friend said, and they say the dead do not still live. I knew exactly what he meant. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have no idea what this last dream is, but it's the last dream in this reading series for you before I do more in this 1 to 3 p.m. package in honor of Tom Woodruff's open mic community poetry. This is not the open mic, this is my homage to it. And this is one last poem from this book that I will share with you. It is the last poem of the book, and it's titled Exactly Where She Belonged, Dreams 229-20. In honor of the open mic host who later handed his open mic down to me in Chicago, who often did this. I wrote down poems, and this is one of them. Exactly Where She Belonged. Was I near the Arctic Circle? Was I near Greenland? I don't know. I don't know who I was with But while on a boat, separated from everyone, I fell over the edge and landed on one of those rubber boat dinghies. I can't remember if it was actually inflatable or not. I want to say it was, but I remember thinking that this was way too flimsy. But at this point, it was all I had. This mini boat quickly separated from the large boat that I was on, and I suddenly didn't see anyone or anything anywhere, just chunks of ice floating in the ocean around me. I knew I was wet from falling into the water in this boat, which I was able to climb into far too gracefully. And I knew that there was ice everywhere in this ocean, but I didn't feel that wet. And I didn't feel cold at all. I just knew I had to find civilization anywhere to help me get back to the world I knew. Amongst the huge chunks of ice floating along this tiny rubber boat from moving, I managed to navigate myself. I don't have the oars. I can't remember if I used my hands, but I've navigated myself to what looked like a massive block of floating ice. I couldn't see land anywhere, but it resembled a harbor, almost a pavilion in the middle of nothingness. I apparently left my boat and went into what looked like a huge room, like a warehouse room, but not really, since it was all on top of the middle of ice in the middle of the ocean. People were milling about in there like this was just some giant bar or some sort, or like they were all just getting together for a convention at a convention center. I looked around until I saw a woman who reminded me of a high school acquaintance, a woman I did work with back in the day and was friendly with back then. Maybe then she might be someone that I could feel more comfortable talking to. She seemed totally relaxed there, like this warehouse room on this ice harbor was exactly where she belonged. And I kept saying that I fell off my boat and I need to get a hold of the people on the boat so they might find me. And this is when I pulled out my cell phone out of my pocket. Don't ask me why it was still working and not waterlogged or frozen. And I was looking at it, thinking of texting someone there. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, we don't get reception there. They're not going to get any texts from me. But I had to do something, I thought. So I thought that maybe I could send a bulk email to everyone I knew on the boat, and that maybe somehow soon one of them would get access to email and see my message. I didn't even know the contact information to email the people who ran the boat that we were on. So then I tried to think of the names of the people I was on the boat with, and then I tried to remember their email addresses, but my hands were too cold and I was too scared. And I couldn't type a thing. Those are fun dreams, aren't they? What are you thinking, man? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, those were a couple of poems from the middle and from the end of the Down in the Dirt August 2020 book, volume 186. That's titled Three Things. Count them, 1, 2, 3. There is an REM song. We are young despite the years. We are concerned. We have hope despite the times. Oh, these days have three prongs. Yeah, anyway, sorry. Why am I singing an REM song for you there? But anyway, three things is the book from the August 2021 issue of Down the Dirt magazine. You can find out about it at scars.tv/dirt. Or you can find it on Amazon as well if you are interested. And thank you all so very much for listening. And I will be coming back very shortly with another reading for you guys. I hope everyone is staying safe. We're starting to get back together. I hope everyone has been vaccinated. The booster is still kind of getting to me. Ooh, holy cow. But I hope everyone is being good, and I will talk to each and every one of you very, very soon. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.